Math 1332, Chapter 3, Symbolic Logic, Section 1, Statements and Quantifiers, Video 4? Is this only video 4? I feel like I've been making videos all day long. No, this is video 5. Yes, okay, that didn't sound right to me. So give me 1 second to fix that. And I believe we are recording. Yes. All right. So video 5, negation of a quantified statement. In the previous video, we talked about negations, and the video was really easy. It's either this or it's not that. And you could kind of say the same thing for quantified statements, but there's more reasonable ways to say these in terms of word choice. So let's take a look at the following quantified statements and talk about giving the negations of them. Statement number 1, all of my brothers have college degrees. I'm not saying that's true or false, but let's say I say that statement and you want to prove me wrong. Okay. Now let's just say for the sake of the discussion that these are my brothers. 1, 2, 3. And they all have college degrees. So they all got their little graduation hats on. And I said, all of my brothers have college degrees. What would have to happen for that statement to be false? In other words, what would the case have to be for me to be a liar if I said all of my brothers have college degrees? Would it be none of them have college degrees? Well, that would certainly make me a liar, but it's not required that none of them have college degrees. If I have 3 brothers and I say all of them have college degrees, and then you do your research and you figure out, well, your first 2 brothers do, but your third one dropped out and he doesn't have his degree. You're a liar. You said all of your brothers have college degrees and you were a liar, not because none of them had college degrees. I still have 2 that do, but at least one of them did not, or some of them do not. The negation of all of my brothers have college degrees is at least one of my brothers does not. Because again, when I say all, I mean all of them. And the only thing that it takes to make me wrong is for one of them to not, in which case I'm a liar. So it only has to be at least one of them. It could be none of them, but it only has to be at least one of them. So the negation of all of my brothers have college degrees, at least one of my brothers does not have a college degree. And before starting this, I meant to remind you that there are certain words that are quantifiers. So the quantifier in the original statement was all, and the quantifier in the negation is at least 1. Okay, there's a reason I'm pointing that out. Well, let's go ahead and talk about it. All, is that a universal or existential quantifier? All is a universal quantifier. But what about at least 1? And I'm going to have to erase my brothers. Sorry, guys. Oops, come back here, words. Okay. We'll just let my brothers sit there since they're going to be stubborn. What type of quantifier is at least 1? At least 1 is an existential quantifier. You know what, let's just call it EQ for short. And we might as well call the other one, where did the other one go? I must have undone it. It's gonna be one of these videos. All right, so this was a universal quantifier. All is a universal quantifier. At least 1 is an existential quantifier. All right, B, some jobs require a college degree. Well, what do you think the negation of some jobs require a college degree? Like if I came up to you and I said, some jobs require a college degree, what would have to happen to make me a liar? That man said some jobs require a college degree. But you know what? I looked around and guess what? Couldn't find one because no job requires a college degree. Again, I'm not saying that's true or false. I think we know which one is true, which one's false. But if I said some jobs require a college degree, here's what I'm saying. Let's pretend that each box represents a job. If I can get this to draw some boxes. Job, job, job. And we put one box, and you could pretend that inside of each box is a word describing a job, and we list every single possible job in the world. So let's say that this is the universe of all possible jobs. And I say at least one of these requires, or I say some jobs require a college degree. Let's say it's this one, D is for degree, this one, and this one. Or at least that's what I think. And you look around and you go, well, I'm going to find a job with a college degree. Because you say some jobs require college degrees. And let's say that you look at all the jobs and none of them say I require a college degree. That's what would make me a liar. When I say some jobs require a college degree, that means at least one. But if I'm wrong, then there's not even one because none of them do. So the negation of some jobs require a college degree is no job requires a college degree, or none require a college degree. What are our quantifiers? In the original statement, it is the word some, and in the negation, it is the word no. Some, is that a universal or existential? Some is an existential quantifier because it states that the existence of a job that requires a college degree. But what about no job requires a college degree? That's a universal quantifier. We're saying something about the universe of jobs. None of them require a college degree, or equivalently, all of them don't require one. All right, C, some people do not like spinach. Let's say I do some research and this is the conclusion I draw. I have done my research and I conclude some people do not like spinach. And you look at your neighbor and you go, is this man crazy? Because if I'm wrong, then what does that mean about people? Some of you don't like spinach. The negation. Does that mean all of you like spinach if I'm wrong? No. It's kind of like the jobs. If I say, I forgot what the original statement was. Sorry. I keep going past this page that I've already set up, so ignore that. Some people do not like spinach. So let's say these are all the people, and I say some of them do not like spinach. So I'm going to put S for those who like spinach. All right. Some of these people do not like spinach. Okay. That was the statement, wasn't it? Yes. Some people do not like spinach. C, some of the people don't like spinach. What would have to happen for me to be wrong? If these black boxes represented all the people in the world, and I said some don't like spinach, what would have to happen for me to be wrong? Every single person would have to like spinach. Now, if I said some of these people don't like spinach, I would be wrong. Why? Because all of them do. So, what's the negation of some people do not like spinach? All people like spinach. What are the quantifiers? Some and all. The original statement had an existential quantifier. The negation of it had a universal quantifier. You should start noticing a trend between the type of quantifier in a statement and the type of quantifier in its negation. But let's take a look at one more example. No politicians are honest. I'm not saying this is true or false. Let's just say that I say the statement, no politicians are honest. What would make me a liar? Well, let's go back to our boxes and see. Let's say these represent politicians, and the ones that are honest have an H on them. And I say, see, no politicians are honest. But what would have to happen to make me wrong? Would all of them have to be honest? No. If I say none of them are honest, all it takes for me to be wrong, is for there to be at least one honest politician. Now I can't say none of them are honest because that's wrong. See, there's at least one of them that is. It may be more than one, but it would have to be at least one is honest. And so what's the negation of no politicians are honest? Well, if you're wrong, at least one politician is honest. What are the quantifiers? In the original statement, no. And in the negation, at least one. And in the original statement, no is a universal quantifier because it's saying all of them lack a characteristic. All politicians are not honest. And at least one is an existential quantifier because it talks about the existence of at least one politician that's honest. So let's take a look at all these statements in the negations. There were two pairs where we started with a universal quantifier. The first pair was A, where we started with the universal quantifier and its negation was an existentially quantified statement. And D, where we started with a universally quantified statement, but its negation was existentially quantified. And there were two that were vice versa. In B, we started with an existentially quantified statement, and its negation was universally quantified. And the same thing in C. We started with an existentially quantified statement, and its negation was universally quantified. And that's not a coincidence because the negation of a universally quantified statement is an existentially quantified statement. And I can already tell that when I copy and pasted and switched words, I forgot to switch the A and the and. The negation of an existentially quantified statement is a universally quantified statement. Yes, that's going to bother me. Yes, I'm going to fix it. It's just the way I am. All right, so just keep in mind that when you negate a quantified statement, you change the type of quantifier. If you're universally quantified, your negation is existentially quantified. If you're existentially quantified, your negation is universally quantified. So, to summarize, if your statement implies all do, and it may say that phrase or something similar to it, but if it's a positive universal, okay, all do, then the negation is a negative existential. Some do not. That makes sense. Opposite of positive is negative. Opposite of universal is existential. If your statement implies some do, a positive existential, then the negation is a negative universal. None do or all do not. However, if your statement implies a negative existential, some do not, then the negation should be a positive universal. All do. And lastly, if your statement implies a negative universal, none do or all do not, then the negation implies a positive existential, some do. So just remember, the negation of a positive statement is a negative statement in terms of using the word not or not using the word not. And the negative of the opposite of a universally quantified is an existentially quantified. A lot of people get this wrong. A lot of people do not understand negations of quantified statements because they say something like, well, he said all of something and he's wrong, so I guess none of them do. No, if he said all of something and he's wrong, that means at least one of them doesn't. Or he said some do and he's wrong, so I guess some don't. Well, no, some do means that some do and maybe some don't. The negation of some do is none do. So just remember, negation of existential is universal and vice versa. Negation of positive is negative. And then just frame it right grammatically.